Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Luxor. We're going to the Pyramids. Oh, I click on the... Whoops. What was I thinking? You don't click on the map. You click on the arrow. So how are all of you guys doing today? You guys doing good? I hope so. Hope you guys are happy. Hope you guys are healthy. Hope everyone's having a great day today, and that there's good vibes all around. So, we have now looped the levels. So, Luxor 3 and Luxor 4, they had a lot of levels, and then each stage was just a random combination of the levels. Well, this one, and also Luxor 2 will do this. The levels have a pattern. So each stage has a set amount of levels. By the way, those will increase later in the game. But they're always in the same order. Now, I know I make this comparison a lot, but it's just like Zuma, the first one, where each stage is the same order of the same levels. Honestly, it is kind of nice because sometimes, especially with Luxor 4, they would literally give you the same stage, like, they would literally give you the same level twice in a single stage. And it felt like they really just put in a random number generator to generate levels within a stage. But here, there's a lot more consistency. Now, that might be a turnoff for some people, where it's like, why are we playing the same levels over again? But honestly, I don't mind it that much. And also, it looks like they took their time. Like, some of these designs I really like, especially this one. It's the first thing you'll ever see in the Luxor franchise, assuming you start with the first one. Also, I love the OG Luxor 1 Wild Ball design. That, like, bright, like, tie-dye spiral. So freaking cool. Well, at least to me it is. I know sometimes I give Unk status. See, I hope everyone's chilling. Hope it's a good afternoon. Finally, summer is upon us. No more of this winter crap. Now, when it comes to winter versus summer, I like snow when it's not on the road or when I need to walk. Like, you know what? It is fun to play in the snow, go sledding, build forts. And honestly, I don't like the cold, but I'm not bothered by it. But like I've said before, the ice. I hate the ice, and the ice hates me. But summer, I'm kind of crazy, but I like the heat. I like it in the 75 to 90 degree range. And right now it's about 86 degrees, so that is perfect for me. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to being really hot versus being really cold, obviously both are uncomfortable. Because when it's hot, you know, you're sweating. You gotta wipe it off your forehead. There's bugs everywhere, especially mosquitoes. And then you gotta worry about getting sunburned. Like, that definitely can be uncomfortable. And I have definitely been there where it's like the sun's beating down on you. But in my personal experience, there's just something about being really bitterly cold that is just absolutely terribly miserable. Especially when your nose starts running and you got no tissue, no hanky, no nothing. So you either got to use your wrist as a tissue, which is really gross, or you got to just let it run and it just keeps running and it's all sticky. Blech. It is gross. It is beyond gross. And also just the feeling of that piercing, windy, cold chilliness. Like, it just pierces through your skin and it, like, your entire body starts hurting. I will take scorching hot over bitter cold any day of the week. Now, I'm just talking about, like, casual going about my day or going outside and doing something. However, if we are talking about, like, survival, like being in the desert versus being in the tundra, if we're talking about a survival situation, then I actually flip. Then I would actually prefer cold over hot. Because if you're cold, assuming you prepare like you're a survivalist, you can put on more layers. You can always get warmer if you know how and if you try. And also, I feel like it's a little easier to get water, because you might find a freshwater glacier, or you can drill through the ice or something. Or you heat up some snow, and then you drink that. Whereas, if you're hot, there's only so much to take off. Once you're naked, you're kind of screwed. Also, there's really no water in the desert. Now, a lot of people say to get water from cactuses or cacti. Apparently, like, you technically do get water out of them, but you have to get through the thorns, and the amount of effort it will take to get that little bit of water will exert more water than what you get. So it's almost like drinking seawater at that point. Like, yes, it will feel hydrating, but your body has to work harder to process that out. But in this case, it's energy instead of just bad water. So yeah, if you're trying to survive, cold, casual, hot. That's how I feel about temperature. And also, there's fair weather, where it's 55 degrees, there's no wind, it's cloudy but not rainy. Where it's just absolutely still. Those days can be nice. But I'm a bit of a crazy person, and I do like a little bit of heat in my summer days, so give me a little cooking on the grill. Also in summer, you got carnivals, you got barbecues, you got water parks, you got pools, oceans. Like, I like all the summer activities. Now, granted, I'm an introvert, and I play video games all day, so you know, I might be a bit of a hypocrite there, but I do get out there occasionally. It's not exclusively in the cave. Ooh, I like the background design of this level. I like what they did with the background here. It looks very nice. The grass almost looks like a satellite image. Like they took a bird's eye view of a huge, like, field of grass. So guess what? I got more burrito horn stories to tell. The thing about working in fast food is there's no shortage of shenanigans that happen. Honestly, there are some stories that I forgot. So sometimes, if something really weird or really interesting happens at work, I'll write it down in a notepad, like I'll make like a bullet point. But sometimes I forget to do that, and it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So there are some stories that, unfortunately, we will never know. And also, there's a lot of stories that kind of blend together about us getting screwed on Friday or Saturday. Oh, speaking of Friday and Saturday, I pulled my first ever straight. I worked 7 days in a row. So last week I was supposed to get Wednesday and Friday off. So Wednesday rolls around, and I get a message from one of my managers like, "Hey, do you work tonight?" And I say, "Oh, no, do you need some help?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's just me and Big J closing, so we might need you to come in and help." Now, I am a bit of a workaholic, and I'm also a bit of a try-hard at work. I always like to stay productive and do a good job. So I'm a nerd. I'm a work nerd. Bit of a little work nerd there. Ah, shoot. So anyway, I come in and we thought we were in the clear because usually the delivery truck will come between 10:30 and midnight, but 1:30 rolls around and the truck still isn't here. And we're like, oh, sweet, maybe it won't come when we're working anymore. Well, 2 o'clock, it showed up. And we're like, oh, god damn it. So yeah, we put all those boxes away. But honestly, the heaviest thing we have to lift is the boxes of soda. We get these big bags of syrup, and then the syrup comes in the boxes. It's not the weight of the boxes that's the problem, but they don't have good handles. They have these handles, like, built within the boxes, but they're not very sturdy, and if you're not really careful, then the whole thing rips, the bag falls out, and it's just a huge pain in the ass. But other than that, you get a nice little workout in, and then you might feel accomplished afterwards. So then, before I even got summoned for Wednesday, I think it was earlier on Tuesday, one of my coworkers was like, hey, can you cover my shift? And me being me, I said yes. Now, my dad's always like, Matt, you don't gotta answer the phone. When they call, just ignore it. But like I said, I like money, and I have this weird addiction to work, so I'm gonna be honest, it is mostly the money. I like to get that sweet, sweet overtime. Nothing like time and a half to really get you excited. Because then I can buy more Burger King with it. So anyway, let's call this coworker... You know what? We're just going to call her a coworker. I've made so many aliases, and I don't keep track of any of them, so it's just a unspecified coworker. So she hits me up. I agree to cover her shift. So I get there, and one of my managers is like, oh, hey, she changed her mind. She's going to come in at 11 now. But then she calls again. Oh, actually, she's going to be late. And then an hour later, she couldn't come in at all because she broke her glasses. And she can't drive without her glasses. And she couldn't find a ride, so she ended up just not showing up anyway. Which I thought was what she was going to do in the first place. But then she changed her mind and then couldn't show up. So yeah, it was a weird situation that she put us in. It was a weird predicament there. Also, the same coworker, another day, her shift was coming to a close. Now, when your shift is about to be over, one thing we do for, like, courtesy, we'll ask a manager or just our coworkers if there's anything we can do before we leave. And one thing we try to do is we try to clear our screen. So there's a screen that shows you how many orders you have, both at the speaker and inside of the restaurant. And one thing we try to do, even if we end up staying a little later, we'll try to take care of all the orders on the screen, and then once that's clear, then we go home. Well, this girl, she comes up to me and she goes, okay, Matt, I'm leaving. And then just walks out. But she didn't even finish her job. Now, they had already paid. They were just waiting on their food. But there was still a guy at the window waiting for his food. And I look over, and there's these 2 DoorDashes up front. But they don't have the drinks made for them yet. So she kind of bailed on us. And then, as soon as she left, then we start getting slammed. And then I'm trying to take the orders while making these drinks. Now, when you're making drinks for people at the window while you're taking the orders, that's kind of easy because it's with the same order. But I was trying to make drinks for completely different orders, and it was messing up the whole flow. And then the actual delivery driver got there, so we kind of had to stop for a little bit and get the drinks finished. See, I literally would have taken maybe 5 extra minutes to just tie up the loose ends. But no, she vanished. She said adios and left us in the dust. But hey, you know, what are you gonna do? You can't control other people's behavior, only your own. So it's best to focus on yourself. Improve the stuff you do. So in the HD version, when the danger theme starts playing, when it gets close to the pyramid, like the whole stage lights up red. It's like in PvZ 2, when there's a zombie about to get to your lawnmower or to your house. Like, the alarm sound kind of goes off and there's a red glow for a little bit. It is kind of a nice touch. It adds more of a sense of urgency. Now, one thing with both Zuma and Luxor, I like that, they always have to pick the most dreadful music they could find when you're close to losing a level. Like, they purposefully picked something to be, like, really pulse-pounding. And then on top of that, you got this whole red glow. It shows up more on other stages. Like, the very first stage I played, that whole thing lit up red. Here, it's only, like, a little bit. Like, it's in the water, but you can't really see it. Oh, and if you've noticed, we have a new color. Each new stage, we get a new color. Now, I don't know if they've changed it, but teal and orange, those were not invented until Luxor 2. I always thought it was invented in Luxor 3, but a long time ago I discovered it was actually 2. I think if you play Expert Mode on Luxor 2, you get teal and orange. But as for the extra colors in here, it's just pink, or that's purple, not pink. It's purple, white, and black. And then obviously you have the original colors. You got red, blue, green, yellow. Although I could be wrong, maybe in this remastered version on expert difficulty, maybe they added more colors. Hopefully they save that until Luxor 2, because I think we don't need more colors. We don't want to crowd things. I just don't want the game to get harder. Kind of just coping a little bit. Also, as you can see, obviously we're still filling up the bar, so each time you repeat a stage, you're going to need either more points or more balls destroyed before you can pass it. So we're going to have to deal with more balls here. Sometimes I'll try to say spheres or beads or... I don't think I've ever said circles. Why can't I get through one of these games without frickin' saying balls? Balls this and balls that. Now, admittedly, sometimes I do make some dirty jokes on this channel, but here, I literally am just talking about the spherical, ball-shaped beads that are on the screen. And we're not talking about anything else. It sounds bad, but it ain't. Yeah, especially in the Luxor games, when the danger theme comes on, it sounds like you just open the gate to hell. Like, either you're gonna get pushed in, or some big demon's about to come out. Did they have I don't know if they called them demons, but they had, like, monsters in Egypt. Like, they had evil spirits. So, again, at Burrito Horn. Now, there are a few pet peeves at the drive-thru, both as a customer and as an employee. It's like, if I'm in the drive-thru and someone's in front of me and they do this, it's annoying. And when I'm taking an order, it's also annoying. So, number one is, this is a classic, when they don't know what they want. Now, I think it's okay to take, like, 30 seconds, a minute at the absolute most. Like, let's say you go to Taco Bell, and maybe it's been a while since you've been there, or you have, like, a rough idea of what you want, like, I'm in the mood for chicken, but do I want but do I want a chicken quesadilla? Do I want a stacker, a flatbread melt? Like, if you just need, like, 30 seconds to, like, clean up your order to, like, really get it down to a science, then I think that's perfectly fine. However, when you're taking, like, 2-3 minutes, especially during, like, a rush, if you're standing there holding up the whole line, and it sounds like you're really struggling, can I get and some people actually do this. I need shit, what is that? What's that thing called? A lupa? A taco? Shit, let me get that. What else you got here? If you're gonna struggle that hard, either just come inside the building or pull it up on Google. Pretty much every restaurant now has their menu online. Like, if you haven't been to Taco Bell in like a decade, you're definitely gonna have to do some research. It hasn't changed that much. Like, it's still, at its core, it's still pretty much tacos, burritos, and quesadillas. They did add a couple new items. They've definitely gotten more expensive. But I'd say for the most part, it's pretty much the same. Same thing with McDonald's. It's still mostly just burgers and fries. And nuggets. So yeah, a quick minute to just really think about your order. Like, I'm all for that, but once you pass the 2-minute mark, you officially gotta either come inside or you gotta just figure it out. Like, sometimes I'll recommend something like, ooh, have you ever had a cheesy gordita crunch? Which, by the way, that actually is my favorite menu item. Great texture, great taste, great sauce. Especially with extra shredded cheese. Oh, good. Chef's kiss on that. One time it actually worked. Like, you know what? That sounds really good. Let's go with that. And they loved it, and they kept asking for more. They became a regular customer. Number 2, this one's not too bad, but when they either don't pay attention to the price, or when they're surprised that it's expensive. Like, how are 2 chalupas $15? Now, you know what? One thing I will say. Yes, inflation has gotten out of hand. Like, there is definitely some economical problems there. However, a lot of these companies, you know, corporate greed took over, and they realized, hey, we can just raise the prices even further, and we can blame it on inflation. Now, I don't know what the exact percentages are, but inflation was higher than usual, but it was by a certain percentage. But, and also the price of ingredients has gone up, but if you look at how much that the food prices have gone up at McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Wendy's, it is noticeably very higher, more than what the percentage of inflation in ingredients are. Because now that everyone is blaming inflation, now they can as well, and they can just say, well, inflation, it's this expensive now. And I do agree with the customers on this one. It is bullshit that they hike prices when, like, people are struggling. That ain't cool. However, do not blame the people actually working at the restaurant. They do not set the price. It is... I don't even know if it's corporate. I think corporate is more of like a PR team. I don't know what group is in charge of actually raising the price. I want to say maybe Taco Bell themselves, but that's kind of vague. So I don't know if it's the CEO, if it's marketing, if it's the profit team. I really don't know who actually is in charge of the prices. But it ain't the people just folding tortillas and putting cheese inside. It's not us. And I honestly do get being upset. Like, people are like, what? It's, you know, $20 for a quesadilla and a taco? Honestly, I support that reaction because, pardon my French, I'm gonna say it again, it is bullshit that they do that. But then there's people that are like, well, that can't be right. You obviously rang something in wrong. Like, I go through the whole order again. Like, then you're kind of crossing into asshole territory. Like, being upset about the price, totally understandable. But then to, like, blame the people at the restaurant, it's like, alright, dude, come on. So, that's number 2. Number 3 is noise. So, sometimes the people are too quiet. For some reason, some people, when they order, they, like, mumble under their breath. Like they're trying to record a video for ASMR. Like, hey, can I get a taco and a cheese quesadilla with extra jalapeno sauce? Like, speak up, I can't hear you. And I feel really weird, like, having to say what or I'm sorry for the 3rd time in a row. Like, it makes me kind of look like a dummy. When really, I can't really hear what you're saying. Also, low-key, recently, I have been starting to have some hearing problems. I've been wearing the headset for about 2 years now, and I think it's done a number on me. I've always struggled with, like, electronic hearing. Like, right now, if I were to talk to somebody, there would be no issue. But if I'm watching a movie, sometimes there'll be a line that a character says, I gotta rewind it like 3 times. Like, wait, what did he say? If I'm talking on the phone, it's gotta be on speaker, or else I can't understand whatsoever. And also, when I'm taking orders, there are times when I gotta, like, ask someone to repeat themselves a couple times. See, when it comes to, like, electronic devices, my hearing kind of goes down, like, 10%. Also, there's a period of time, like, after I take the headset off, like, for 10 minutes after, my hearing is just kind of, like, wonky. Like, I can't really describe it, but it feels off. Now, I do use Q-tips to clean my ears. I know that's a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. But it just feels so good when it's in your ear. It scratches that itch perfectly. If Q-tips weren't made to shove in your ear, then why did they make them in the first place? It's the perfect size for it. Or, if they're not too quiet, then their engine is way too loud. Now, surprisingly, the people that ride motorcycles that come to our restaurant are very polite. Sometimes they'll even turn the whole engine off, or they'll just speak up. It's always the pickup truck people. The white kid in his white t-shirt, in his red pickup truck. I swear sometimes they'll do it on purpose. Well, while they're ordering, they'll, like, rev their engine. Or their clanker is just really, really loud. So all you hear is like... Not a great impression of a car engine, but it's the best I got. So yeah, if you're gonna drive a big truck or something, like, either really speak up or just cut the engine. Because all I hear is what sounds like a jackhammer going off. Alright, we've got our first bonus stage, and also our first dual path level. Now this one, first time around, it's not that bad, but as we get into the harder... As we start seeing these stages again, but harder, this one will be kind of a pain, so... I'm gonna enjoy this while I can. Now, those 3 things that I just described, not knowing what you want, being too quiet, being too loud, or blaming us for prices, I would say those are just mildly annoying. Like, it really doesn't bother me that much. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is honestly maybe a 3. But this next one, for me, it's a 5. But for the cooks, this is like a 7. One of the worst things you can do in the drive-thru as a customer, besides just really be an unpleasant person, one of the worst actions you can do is the dreaded, the person gets to the window and they just completely change their whole order. We used to have a regular that did this all the time. So as these two guys, they would order something. It wasn't a huge order, but it wasn't a small order either. They would come to the window and like, hey, could I just change my whole entire order? Now, sometimes we do get people that come to the window and they'll add on like a taco or something small. And depending on how many people we have in the drive-thru, sometimes we'll do it for them, or sometimes we'll just have them do another lap around and then we'll give them the extra item. But though they're always apologetic, like, hey, I'm so sorry. I forgot I wanted a burger. Could I add that on? But these people, they didn't even apologize. Like, very just monotone, like, hey, can I change my whole order? Now, for me, I gotta, like, re-put in the whole order. But at our restaurant, we make everything to order. It's like, once you start ordering, we start making it. So now we have all this wasted food because you changed your mind at the last minute. Now I get sometimes having a brain fart and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't want beef, I wanted steak. Like, that's fine, but they would literally change, like, every single item. Like, actually, all that stuff I ordered, I actually don't want any of that. I want something completely different. And one time, they came to the window, and I kind of trolled them a little bit. So they placed their order, and like, alright, that's it. I go, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, we're sure, that's it. And I go, are you really sure? And like, yeah, that's it. And then I did it one more time. I go, are you really, really, really sure? And then, before I even finished the third really, they just drove off. And they actually changed their order. So no, they were not really, 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 really sure. Maybe they were doing it on purpose. Maybe it was just all a big prank. Or maybe they're just a couple of dumbasses. Now after that, they did come a couple more times. I didn't do that again. But thankfully, after a certain point, they vanished. Off the face of the earth, never to be seen ever again. Or maybe on one of my days off, one of my managers just got tired of it and was like, nah, you're done. 10 strikes, you're out. So, we don't know what happened to them, so we can just assume that they moved to Canada. See, if you're out of everything you can do, please don't do that. Honestly, you could call me whatever name you want. I don't care. Just don't change your entire order. And get rid of your truck, it's too loud. But honestly, you hear a lot about like crazy customers or bad customers or difficult guys. Honestly, in my experience, it's really only a small handful that are like that. The majority of it's pretty normal. It's just now with the internet, we have all the access to our information. So, you just read a lot about it now. Guy throws an alligator through the drive-thru. By the way, that was a real story. Get this, Florida. I don't even know why he was mad, but he showed up at a Wendy's, threw an alligator through the drive-thru, and then drove away. Alright, the bar's almost full. We almost got a full bar. Come on, turn gold. Go from red to gold. Go for the gold. Yes, we got gold. And go backwards. Alright, I think I got a new rank or something. Alright. We just gotta squish these last two bugs. Some better color selection would be cool. There we go, that's a little better. Honestly, if we could get some red and blue, just take this last guy out. So I can focus on this longer one. Because if anyone's going to be a problem, it's the guy on the right. Especially as he's going up. He's going away from me. It's going to be harder to shoot. Oh, that makes it easier. This is actually the perfect power-up for this situation. Go around the bend. Come on. You're holding up a line. You are terminated. Ooh, yay, we get both. Thought I was gonna get scammed. And I do believe that concludes Stage 4. Face completa! My face is complete? You're telling me this whole time my face wasn't done? What a ripoff! Well, that's gonna be enough Luxor for today. So as always, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And everybody, need you to just do me a little favor here. And that favor is to have yourselves a great day.